From the center of the internet, which isn't always pretty, this is ForceCenter Live and Star Wars Questions. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I can hear you.
Sorry.
I was supposed to say me. My name. I'm Jen Landa. I'm pixelated. That's why.
Yes. And I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and I did not mean to leave Ken hanging. Alone.
All good.
On an internet that is apparently, I think, pixelated for a lot of us.
All good. All good. Uh-oh.
What happened?
What?
I lost both of you for a second.
Are we here?
Oh, no.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Are we all fine here?
This is going to be a running thing until we figure this out. Folks, hi, everybody. It's just a bad internet day in the San Fernando Valley and the greater Los Angeles area. It's just one of those things. But we're live. We're here. We got Star Wars Questions. We just recorded a news episode that will come out tomorrow. All those good things. So bear with us if we look a little in a storm here. But there you go. There you go.
Day from nowhere, it says, what must be said, a communications disruption can mean only one thing. Mm-hmm. Monday in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, indeed. All right, so we got Star Wars Questions. Our headline is around the great Ben Solo. Let's dive right into it. Joseph, what you got? What you got with this question? What you got, man?
Well, as always, we get these questions from patrons on Patreon, and for years now, we have encouraged patrons to not just ask a question, but tell us a little bit of why you're asking a question, your opinion about the question. I love that it becomes a human conversation, not just a, what do you think about this or what will happen? And I'm becoming more aware that what we ask people to do is provide detailed, thoughtful, basically essays. And then I make a thumbnail and try to condense it to a maximum of 6 words, sometimes 3 or 4. And last week we had this discussion because I used the word gritty to describe the tone of Andor. And the person who kindly wrote the question was like, I was trying to avoid the word gritty because it caused reactions. And it was all a very friendly conversation, but it really got me thinking about this. So, like, the title of today's episode is Strong Ben Solo Feelings, which is a very blunt and direct. And yes, I think most humans on the internet have some kind of strong Ben Solo feeling.
A little bit.
But the person who sent us in this question asked it with nuance and grace. So I'm going to read the question. This is from Antonio Mendiola. Antonio says, now that we're just over 5 years removed from the end of the sequel trilogy, how do you guys feel about Ben Solo? Ben is my favorite Star Wars character of all time. After The Last Jedi came out, I would have said Kylo Ren is my favorite Star Wars character. The night I saw The Last Jedi, I went home and cried for 3 reasons. 1, that was Carrie Fisher's last performance, and she absolutely crushed it. 2, Luke Skywalker had passed into the Force so peacefully yet sadly. And 3, I loved Kylo Ren in the movie, but I cried because we all saw the little hints of a Ben Solo that we didn't know if we'd ever get to see. And I cried for the frightened boy whose master had failed him. When The Rise of Skywalker came out, I was thrilled that even though it was brief, we got to see the boy and the man we had all missed out on seeing, Ben Solo. And through the entire saga, we can debate on how much training actually makes you a Jedi, but he did train with Luke in an official academy. And for my money, we saw Ben Solo, Jedi Knight, on Exegol. I love this character so much. Thank you, and sorry for the long question. No sorries needed. We like and want the long questions. This is, to me, like this, sharing this personal story of your journey and how you were affected. That's what makes the conversation really interesting to me, because it isn't just thumbs up, thumbs down. Did you like the character? Were the sequels good? It's about our personal human reactions and relationships, and that's what I love discussing with Ken and Jennifer and all of you in the chat and online. So with that said, the question still does come down to what these days are our feelings about the character of Ben Solo. Ken, do you want to kick us off?
Oh yeah. First to the breach with my flaming sword. We're taking the pike here in Game of Thrones world. Love Ben Solo. Love the performance. It's absolutely one of my favorite characters. I think there's still so much to explore with the character, both in the past and, most likely not the future. I do think there's miles that may vary on where they ended. Totally get that. That's part of what we're discussing here today. But like you said, it's what's our reaction and our takeaway from what was presented. And I definitely had some like, hey, there's a lot of avenues that would have been open to keep him alive if you wanted to. They didn't, and therefore I love what they do with him. It all makes sense, and we do get to see Ben Solo, and it's a tragedy, and there was a lot for him to learn from all through those movies, and they are emotionally connected. The emotional canon is there, and I love rewatching Ben Solo, who is wordless, right? Other than a huh, and a finger point. It's one of my favorite things to watch in Star Wars is Adam Driver taking that character home in the way that he did with what he was presented as an actor.
Jennifer, what are your feelings these days?
I love Ben Solo. I love Kylo Ren. For me, I enjoyed the character's introduction in The Force Awakens, but The Last Jedi was what really made me appreciate the character and Adam Driver's performance. He was incredible and gave it a character that could have gone really wrong. He gave it so much nuance and made the character feel relatable, dare I say, which is kind of weird, but maybe as a tough teenager, I could certainly relate to it. And we saw these like cracks of light in his character where I was like, oh, I want to see more of that, which we get in The Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, we can talk about that. For me, that I had trouble with the way the character ended, literally ended.
Yes, and we already got one other person agreeing with you, so I think we will dive into that in just a bit, into the should he have went on. Antonio, who asked the question, jumps into the chat with I totally forgot to mention that Adam Driver's performance really drives the character. Pardon my pun. Thanks for answering. It is a phenomenal performance. I also think it is a phenomenally written performance in that it trusted the actor and the directors. He is written with a light touch. The bold choices made to dive into his journey. The story of Force Awakens could have been, we met young Ben Solo and the first movie was him falling, and maybe people would have liked that. But it took a lot of trust and a lot of responsibility in the actor to let us know in the performance, in the glimpses, what happened and how he ended up here. I will say that I think Ben Solo is one of the absolute triumphs of the sequel trilogy. Sometimes I just step back and go, hey, I got to meet Han and Leia's son, Luke's nephew. And he really did not disappoint. It's dark. It's a tragedy that this scion of the heroes could have ended up where he did. But I think the challenge of writing that character is, how do you do something new? How do you respect what George Lucas did, which is make something timeless, but also of the moment? And we often talk about it in jokey ways, and we'll probably talk about it in jokey ways too. Of Kylo is, a guy who spent too much time online listening to the wrong YouTube videos, and the people selling anger and supplements to fix your loneliness aren't rabid YouTubers. They're Palpatine via Snoke saying, oh, yeah, you are lonely, you aren't being heard, you aren't being understood, you do have problems and they're legitimate. Here's an awful solution. And I think that Ben Solo is an amazing character in that he is sort of timeless and mythic of the dangers of cycles repeating themselves, but he is so of our generation and of our moment, and the tragedy that comes when you are offered a easy solution of the people who are supposed to love you have failed you in any way, and so you should go as far away from love as possible, and everybody's out to get you, and the only way to respond is to become more and more angry. I think the depth of his relationship with Rey in Last Jedi is phenomenal, but I think what gets the character off to such a great start is him being pulled to the light. That great line in The Force Awakens where he knows this is wrong, and not that deep down, and that killing his father is him trying to convince himself that if he just keeps going farther and farther down this path, it will somehow justify the initial steps he took down the path. And that is a slightly different story than Anakin, and something that we haven't really got to see. And I think a great cautionary tale for the modern age.
Very modern age indeed. Yes.
Maybe if I drive even more people out of my life, I will suddenly have this power that comes from all this anger that I'm being told to feel constantly by everyone. Yeah. And then other thing I'll say, because this is about Ben Solo and not Kylo Ren, is I think it's also a cautionary tale of, yes, so many of us are wounded, so many of us are angry. It feels good to lash out, but what do you lose of yourself when you try to get that power from being angry and lashing out? What do you lose? You lose empathy, you lose warmth, you lose your own sense of humor, you lose your charm. And without words, Adam Driver and those writers and directors showed us everything he lost by making the choice to be Kylo Ren. In those moments in Rise of Skywalker when he is just full of charm, the little half smile, the deep breath before doing something, the getting back into his groove. It's like he's suddenly just like charming, and you see Han and Leia's son, and he gave up all of those wonderful traits in pursuit of fixing his life through anger.
Jen?
I like this. Antonio is continuing after The Force Awakens. As happy as I was to have Kylo Ben, I hated him for killing Han, and I never thought I could hate a solo Skywalker. Very weird feelings after that one. My journey ended happily, though. I have the same feeling. I liked him initially in The Force Awakens, and at the end, I was like, this is horrible. I cannot empathize with this character at all. And then The Last Jedi surprised me, because I found myself being like, oh, he's awkward. He's vulnerable. He's longing for connection. He feels like, Rey could be this, like, he gets Rey and he thinks Rey gets him. And I was like, oh gosh, I really can relate to this character. Or I met people in my life, right, that he went from just being like a Gamergate kind of person to like a real fleshed out person that is redeemable. I put aside that he killed his father. Let's just put that aside, right? This is fantasy. But it just was a really great performance and great writing, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It is people who grew up with Darth Vader. Ken, how does that specific angle of Darth Vader fanboy, how did that speak to you back then? How does it speak to you now in our modern moment?
Yeah, it made a lot of sense in 2015. I liked it. There, of course, was the cool visual of the helmet, and I'll finish what you started, and all that kind of stuff that made 2015 a lot of fun. But by the time we get to The Last Jedi, in a film that is very much dealing about the weight of the past. It's despite what a lot of even Last Jedi fans will say in threads on threads.net, his point of kill the past if you have to, that's not the point of the film. That's not what it's saying. And so his relationship with the past became, like you're saying, Jen, more realistic. I've called him for years the preacher's kid, the pastor's son, who has these parents that just because of who they are present standards that it was impossible for him to meet, even if they were cool about it. I'm not even saying that they were. Han and Leia had some issues as parents, it would seem. And then you got the uncle and everything about it. So I just love the exploration of that. And then I love that he gets what he wants. He makes a decision to become who he wants to be. Supreme leader. Put on the helmet. Jen, you once pointed out to me early on in our discussions, you said on a show, anyone who tells him to take that helmet off, he kills. That's kind of one of my favorite things leading the historical. So he gets the helmet. He gets scared. Palpatine's back. He puts the helmet back on. He's afraid. He gets his Albrecht, to build it back together, and he's still feeling the weight of the past for me. And I love when he sheds all that. And again, I want to hear Jen I love good what ifs when it could be what else they could have done. And I understand, much like when I have those conversations about Luke or just the original trilogy characters who were around in the story. Sometimes it didn't go the way people wanted, and all of those expectations are understandable. It can be heartbreaking, but for me, even though I had other ideas in my head too that I said on shows that he could. I'd love to see him deal with the redemption. Have to look people in the eye. Sorry, I killed you. Sorry, I killed Han. That would have been one thing for me to do, but I do enjoy where it ended up.
Yeah, and we'll dive all the way in there. I just wanted to talk about the Darth Vader thing for a minute longer, and I think I'm so glad you brought up Kill the Past, because that's such a big part of his journey, supporting the themes of the sequel trilogy. I'm always on about. I understand if people don't want as much nostalgia or repetition sometimes, but that's to me what the sequel trilogy is about, and I think that's. If Anakin lied to himself that he could become so powerful that nobody he ever loved would have to die, I think Kylo's sort of defining lie is I can rewrite everything. I can kill the past. I can never have to deal with it. I can kill my parents so I never have to feel bad about them. I can change my name from Ben, a nod to a Jedi I never knew, something cooler like Kylo. I mean, he's basically like this, like, yep, I used to be kind of a bookworm, but now I'm a skater boy, and I can kill the past, and no one will ever know I was kind of a bookworm. It's I feel like the lesson of the sequel trilogy is you have to deal with the past and move forward. You can't move forward unless you deal with the past. And his fanboying of Vader is such a like, I will not deal with the past. I'll claim that I can eradicate it even while I'm clinging to this mask of the past. Jen, do you have any Kylo as Vader fanboy thoughts?
I think he is incredibly insecure. I think he has a feeling of worthlessness, and so he is trying to draw upon his lineage to make him feel worthy, because he doesn't feel it. And he doesn't believe it. And so it's like he's putting on that mask to try and pretend he's cosplaying that he has power and he's, this badass, but he's really just a sad, lonely boy who is just wanting connection, and so yeah, that was such a great way to continue the character from The Force Awakens, where he did feel like a fanboy, but to then becoming this fleshed out character.
I'm not being making fun of Light Jet. Like when you get to the end, there is it just simply you want to hear him speak happiness, the kiss to mean something, which is still one of my JJ takes. I don't agree with. It's a kiss of friendship, but whatever. We all have different friends. Yeah. Where were you sitting with that at the end?
At the end, I wanted to see more of the character. I was like, oh, this is real. But see, here's the thing. It's like, who deserves redemption, right? Like, can people were already like, I can't ever forgive him for all the horrible things that he did, right? So it's like, it doesn't make sense. We can't really redeem him. It was the best outcome. Again, I'm putting aside that he killed his father and did all these atrocities.
Killed Han, man.
I just was being selfish because I just loved where Adam Driver took the character, and I think we could have seen it. Could have been continuing to be a cautionary tale. Maybe could have helped young incels to see the light. I don't know.
The food in my beard. I've been wanting to pull this one up. Said love the sequels. Ben Solo dying is my biggest gripe that is hard for me to get over. So you're certainly not alone. I think that there's so much in the end of his story that it's really fun to pull apart what. Like food in my beard, if there's a specific element to it, let us know, because I think the story makes perfect sense and I really like the way it worked out. But also but I wanted to spend more time with the character. And yes, if Adam Driver has a change of heart, I think he is more than a normal Force spirit. He's a dyad with Rey. I think he's along for the ride, and I think you could do some really interesting storytelling and with that, all that stuff. But there's the we only got to spend a brief moment with Ben Solo as Ben Solo. There's the sadness in that. There's the whole thing you're talking about, which is the redemption story, which I think in the lead up to Rise of Skywalker, we all talked about it a bunch. Like I kind of wanted, it wasn't even a prediction, it was a want. I wanted it to end with him coming back to the light and him saying, I got some things to atone for. Can you maroon me on Octo for 5 years and let me think about what I've done and think about how I can make it right? Like, that was kind of how I wanted his story to end, with like some responsibility, because I so want a story that is more about redemption, about the long road of it, of how does that work in a fantasy mythic world like Star Wars. And we're getting that, up to a point with a character like Asajj. There are little instances of that. But just looking at what the whole sequel trilogy was trying to do is like, that's not a can of worms to open in the last 5 minutes of the last film, in my opinion. So like, I want that story, and I almost wish they had teed it up, but I also acknowledge like, that's a big can of worms to open up at the end, And is that the story that was needed to be told at that time?
No, and look, there's good questions to ask about how they got there in the process of making that film and everything. I'm still very much a big Rise of Skywalker fan, as people know. Always the ways to look at it. Jen, did you on the romance angle? I don't recall you having too much of a drive for romance between those two characters. Though. You liked it, okay.
I liked it in The Last Jedi. I liked that it was a forbidden love.
Yeah, it was somewhat fair. That hand touch is to the point the closest we have to a Star Wars sex scene, I think. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was wonderful. There was so much sexual tension between the characters. I just thought it was fantastic. And then, the end, I don't know. Well, yeah, I'll just leave it there. I wanted more. I wanted more.
You wanted more of Ben Solo, or more of the romance, or
more of the Ben Solo? Same thing with Chimere and May, or was it May or Osha? One of the twins. I want to see them go off and have an adventure together now. Like, I feel like I'm getting cut off each time. Come on,
Star Wars. I'm not going to use any of the
Clyde.
Yeah, I'm not going to use any of the phrases, but Star Wars is stopping us at the threshold of telling a romantic story.
Kylo bullshit.
So,
exactly. Yeah, I want a Bonnie and Clyde type of romance. Wouldn't that be fun in Star Wars? That would be fun. Come on. Anyone?
No? Again, I don't mean to be just the dour student in the back of the class. As long as some good lessons are to be found in it, and they're not totally praised, but that's I get it. Ventress is in that category for me too, a little bit.
Yeah. She did some awful things in her time with the Separatists. And I think that's anyway. I loved it. I love the kiss. I'm glad I was included in Rise of Skywalker. It's almost the kiss that can please no one, because it's either shouldn't be there for some people, and it's not enough for others. But I felt like it was right. It was, again, like it was that was a part of their connection, and there's that moment of joy, and then the tragedy that he passed. But I do feel like in a story that is about the Skywalkers and about their legacy, and a story that all through its run is about family as blood sometimes, and that's sometimes hard when you don't want to be attached to the actions of your parents, and family is adoption, and that can be beautiful when you find the people who are meant to give you meaning. So I do really like that it's a story where the technical Skywalker bloodline ends, but this person who is sort of adopted by the Skywalkers deserves that mantle just as much. And so the idea of the Skywalkers, the love and hope of the Skywalkers goes on, but the actual bloodline ends. I think that, to me, has a sense of a conclusion to why this is the last chapter for now in the Skywalker saga. So and it's also, as many people have pointed out, Anakin, his grandfather, was obsessed with becoming all powerful and stopping people he loved from ever dying in an unnatural way. And this was a natural sharing of life, a giving of life between the two of them, back and forth, and him making the choice to say, it is more important to me that you go on. And it's a natural, like healthy way of saving the ones you love, as opposed to murdering children in a vague attempt to maybe get the information from an evil wizard to maybe stop your wife from dying, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that poetry on that one there. It rhymes, as you say. Some great comments, too. I wanted to talk about just some of the things behind people's interpretations and love of Kylo. Jeannie from Tahini says, Kylo sees the mangled mask of Vader, but he never saw Vader's conflict. He is cherry-picking Vader's story, and that falls into, to me, the bucket, the category of how we analyze and interact and move forward with the past. The past is there, as much as we all would sometimes like it not to be. So to have that, that's a great way to look at it. Like, look what they did to my grandfather. This is what they did to him, and I'm going to finish what you started. I got your back, Grandpa, and not taking in the whole picture. But he learns it, maybe.
I mean, I think it is so relatable. It's mythic, but it's also really funny. Like I've definitely had times, especially when I was, in angry teen and angry young man, that if I found out I had a cool, badass grandfather that I'd been lied to about my entire life and never told that I was connected to this person, and go, well, maybe all these things that I hate about myself are because of my parents who don't understand me, but this secret, cool, badass grandfather, I'll be just like him. It's so believable. It's so relatable that he would put all of that on Vader, but then not ask the real questions until this comic book by Charles Soule, which I want to get caught up on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Where he's walking through Vader, Anakin's footsteps to actually understand him, as opposed to what Jeannie from Tahini is like. He was just an idea. He was just the cool guy that was hidden from me. Maybe I should actually try to understand what he was all about. Is great.
Absolutely.
I think this is a great point here by Amaranth. My main gripe related to Ben is the take that Luke, Leia, or Han is responsible for the rise of Kylo Ren. They are not. Ben is. There is culpability elsewhere, but I would put that on skeevy palps. I mean, it's hard for me to not psychoanalyze Ben Solo and be like, well, maybe if his parents had been more supportive or helped him during the difficult times, he would not have fallen to the dark side. But we can't apply the same type of thing to Star Wars. I have to remind myself of that, because I'm like, well, maybe Han was too hard on Ben, and that's why that happened, and he felt no love from his father. But no, in the end, you're right. Ben is responsible for Ben.
Ben makes the choice he does, and say the sort of drip of angry YouTuber poison in his ear, but I do kind of feel like that's the story. Is Palpatine via Snoke has been whispering to him. We learn in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book that Ben has been sneaking off and meeting Snoke in person, and Snoke has been putting himself across as a sort of a friendly alternative parent figure who understands everything that Ben is going through. Ben is seduced from an early age. So it is definitely, I think the story of Star Wars is always, it's the individual's choice. But I feel like the story is, it was hard for him growing up because he had to live up to all these heroes. Luke, Han, Leia, and Ben, I think in various books in the publishing realm have done a really great idea of like, they love him, but he's kind of troubled and kind of angry. And of course that frightens them. And of course he is going to feel that. And it isn't they were bad parents. It's a very human story of my child is angry in a scary way sometimes. And I'm scared for him, and I'm scared of the bad choices he will make. And I'm scared I'm not there for him. And there's just a lot of masked fear to be growing up around. And I think that's what gets into him. And then he finds Snoke's YouTube videos of your parents don't understand you. Your parents fear you for no reason. It's because you're really powerful and they're just trying to hold you back. And there's nothing wrong with what you want to do and who you want to be. It's such a light touch in the way it's told in the sequel. But as soon as you start thinking through it in the parallels to real life, it has such richness.
I love that Brian Ward says, I'm just glad we don't have to deal with people not understanding Vader's story in real life. So even George was dealing with it in 2005. I also enjoy Maddie Gunner saying something I learned recently is that spending your entire life pointing the finger at others for your issues leads you down the same road. It's when you point it at yourself that it leads to change. Great stuff. Like and subscribe to Maddie Gunner's channel of self-help. I love that, Maddie. Great stuff, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian Ward. Now I picture Snoke reacting to trailers and making thumbnails with his head in his hands. Nothing but that big scar showing. His head is bent over. Yeah. Yeah. There's another one in here I wanted to be sure to grab. I can't find it. But it's about redemption. And we've had this we've had this conversation before. I think that redemption is definitely the word that gets thrown around, and I don't have the dictionary definition in front of me, but I think sometimes we do interpret that as like, you fixed it, all is forgiven. And
Right.
I think that the Star Wars story is, no matter how many horrible choices you've made, it's never too late to make a better choice. And Vader made a better choice at the end of his life.
Yeah.
Ben Solo made a better choice at the end of his life. And I don't think that necessarily means all is forgiven. So I think what I'm really interested in is, a story where a Darksider is like, now I can never make it right. How can I just continue on this new path of making the best choices? And how can other people forgive me? How can I be of service? And how can I live with myself? Because there's this pull to make the story about, okay, how many goodness points can he rack up? And now he has 87 goodness points when he had 85 bad points. And just like, I don't think it works that way. It's anyway.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Look, if there was an episode 9.5, if they had signed them all for 4 pictures, that would have been more of an opportunity for me to keep him alive. And you just said it, Joseph. I've joked about it over the years, but it's just like having a scene where, hi everybody, this is Ben Solo. I thought he was Kylo, and he's been trying to kill us for 5 years. Yep, he's on our side now. That's a great starting point to. How do you go forward with that? How do you do that? And it's myth, it's mythology and fantasy and a morality tale. So we don't have to get too into the weeds on the stats on the back of the card, because I've seen that before with the Anakin conversation. But he killed all those people. Did the kids, all this? Yes, exactly. The Star Wars is dealing with this big giant picture of your soul, and what do you do? And they're just using this heightened stakes to drive the point home. But I think you could have explored it with Ben Solo. So that's So maybe, Jen, if there was a 9.5, and I know we can talk about Rey films and all the stuff, but a 9.5, like dawn on the next day, we wake up and here's what's going on. I would have been definitely a little more on your side there, not on your side in terms of competitive way, but just really feeling keep him going. But
I go ahead, Jen.
Oh no, go ahead, because I'm going to take us on a tangent.
I was just going to say I understand why it's not in the film and why it all worked out that way, but I would like to see the sketch with all of the original actors of Rey returning to the celebration with Ben and him being like having to like make his apologies very specifically to Poe and Finn to literally, but hey Finn, sorry about your back.
My God.
I'm sorry about the mind torture. You were that attached to Black One. I'm sorry. I personally blew that up.
Sorry.
To go down the list of like, here's what I specifically did to you on screen, and I do apologize. It would be really funny.
It would be hilarious. Can we do that? Could someone do that? Tim Robinson do that sketch? Someone out there? Joseph, could you do a one night only Scrimshaw performance of this? This is I absolutely would love to see it. But again, I said, and part of it too. Curious on your thoughts, Jen, and curious on your tangent here in a second of just going into 9. There was a lot of that conversation of, hey, are they just going to redeem him in any way, shape, or form? Bad guy goes good, which can be a surface level kind of, I don't mean in a negative way, but just a surface level look at the discussion of Star Wars at that time. And I remember being on many shows here and other places of some people just going, I don't want to see that again, which I understand completely because I was intrigued by the idea of doing something a little different. But it also, to me, does make sense because it is what it is in terms of Star Wars, the morality play of it all. But anyways, tangent away, Jen, unless you have something you want to say on that.
No, I agree with Michael, which I think is what I struggle with. My big gripe is that we don't know the real story of his descent. We have a little bits towards the end, but we don't really know his life like we know Anakin and Luke. I think that's why the criticism of his parents comes up, because we got a little bit of it in, what was that? Was it the book with Last Shot? Was it Last Shot where we kind of
Yeah.
like see
Daniel Halsey Older.
Han?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Han
as a
Yeah.
young
Yeah.
dad.
He steps on space Legos, literal space Legos, not the
Yeah, and you see that
figurative,
he's
I should
kind of
say.
struggling to be a parent, and he doesn't seem like he'd be the kindest, most loving father, or warm father. So I don't know. I just would like to see a little bit more. Maybe we have a prequel of Kylo Ren, since we're not going to get the extension of the character.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the reasons I really want the animated series of Luke's Academy, because to me, the one of the things the Clone Wars animated series is just letting us spend more time with Anakin, and letting us feel and see his fear, and see why he would start to react negatively and poorly, but also see his love and spend so much time with him as a kind of a fun big brother character, is the bond between him and Obi-Wan. And I think an animated show with Luke's Academy, with Ben, we'd get to see Ben. We get to see the moments where he's heading in the right direction, and we get to see the doubt and the fear and the pain and the missteps that Luke made. Of like, I sense that he's struggling with darkness, but if I bring it up to him, is it just going to make him feel like I'm telling him he's Darth Vader 2.0? So maybe I just ignore it. Like, did Luke make mistakes like that? Did Luke go at him hard when moments he saw darkness and push him farther away? I think spending time with those nuances would be great. And I think it's hinted at well in The Force Awakens that Leia feels regret for sending him away, that he was wrestling with his abilities. And she's like, well, your uncle's got this school and your uncle's the greatest ever. So instead of keeping you at home and going through the different occult teen years here, we're going to just ship you off to Luke, which makes him feel
military school
abandoned.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that great human story of Han and Leia trying to do the right thing for him, and probably made a mistake by sending him away and making him feel unloved.
There it is. Yep.
There it is. Yeah, and I agree with that sentiment too, Jed. Just a lot was still left on the table, but we really agree with you, Joseph. There's fertile ground out there. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Your tangent, Jed. What was your tangent?
Oh no, I don't even remember now. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I just, one of those things as a parent, you realize that you can really f up kids, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And like, so many of us are in therapy we have had wonderful parents, but there's a lot of things that went wrong. Right. And so that's why I do kind of go, what really happened during his childhood? Is there something that we can pinpoint? And me as a armchair psychoanalyst be like, that's where things went wrong. That's how he became susceptible. I don't know. I need that, but
yeah, I mean, I think. Oh, sorry, King. Go ahead.
No, yeah. Clearly, as being only a parent to a Chihuahua and a PlayStation 5, I don't quite know. I can't experience what you're talking about, Jen, but it's real, right? And being a child growing up, growing up myself.
Yeah, I imagined if I had been a parent, I would have been working so hard to not do the things that my parents did that I didn't like, that I'd be doing other things that aren't great by pushing too far in the opposite direction, which I wonder if that's a little bit, Han and Leia are just trying to find the balance and just not quite doing it. But again, it would have been a normal rocky childhood if a vengeful evil wizard was not dripping poison in the boy's ear from who knows for how long, as somebody points out. Eli here. Also, in addition, there's the Snoke doll. How long has he been in there? Again, we don't know, but it's been a long time. They are not able to sense it. Oh, hey, you can just Strandcast of Palpatine speaking to Ben through some Force weirdness. I bet for most of his life, Ben didn't know what it was. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And it's certainly the implication in Rise of Skywalker of all the voices you've heard inside your head.
Yeah.
For all these years have been me. There've been, like I said, there have been sort of drips in various publishing in various books. The Rise of Kylo Ren comic book by Charles Soule, it's 4 issues. You can get it in trade paperback. I don't think it doesn't really invent anything new, but it really fleshes it out, I think, in a great way. And I haven't been able to read the current Legacy of Vader, which is also fleshing him out.
Same.
I would love an animated series or prequel film or whatever, but if not, we got Charles Soule, who appears to be like, I will tell every Kylo Ren story I can, if they will let me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's on my list of catching up with those comics there. Even as I maybe even purge some of my own collection, I still want to add those new ones like that. So, absolutely.
Ken, do you see any of our starred questions or comments that you want to?
Yeah, let me get to one here. Well, I do want to shout out Maddie again, saying moody goth kids that hate their parents finally represented in Star Wars. He's just like me. I like this from our friend Neil Handstock here. I always saw Ben/Kylo as a Jekyll and Hyde character. He's being pulled in both directions, making him unstable, much like his lightsaber. Yeah, that goes back to the very early Force Awakens lightsaber discussion.
I think that's the lightsaber thing and it being unstable it's so great. But I really love that point about the sort of being pulled in both directions of my family history is pretty binary. Either one of the greatest heroes of the galaxy or one of the worst villains of the galaxy pick.
Michael says that Michael Glover music will never happen, but a Tales of Solo would be perfect prequel for both Han and Ben. 3 shorts seeing Han possibly open the early run just post the Solo movie, and 3 showing Ben's fall. I'm up for that. We have our discussion tomorrow on the new show about Tales of the Underworld and the trailer and everything. But yeah, let's do that. I don't know. If Dave has an emotional investment in that story, we could get that one day. But I could see that.
I would love that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We got this super chat in here that as always we'll take any old questions. Super chats help us keep us going, so thank you for anybody who sends us in. This comes from Mandalorian Jedi Avenger. As soon as Ken said what if, that reminded me how much I want a Star Wars what if show. What if Kylo had lived? So many great legends possibilities. Jen, where are you at with the idea of not just a Kylo what if story, but in general Star Wars what if stories?
It would be animated, obviously. So I don't know. I know that the Marvel, right? The Marvel ones are very popular and people really like them. It could be fun, or it could be dangerous because then I'm like, well, that's actually the story that I wanted to see on screen. Be careful what we wish for, right? Because then I'm like, oh no, I want that instead. That's a fun idea. I wish that they would do it. I don't know if they will. Who knows? They could announce it at a celebration for all we know.
Oh, Ken, what are your what if feelings these days?
I think it's a great question there for Mandalorian Jedi Avenger, and a great observation. I think a lot of people would be happy with it. I think I would definitely want to watch it. I definitely have to cop to the disillusionment with the discourse and how that series would probably be used. It's slightly different than the Marvel ones, just because to me, Joseph, you spent more time growing up with those comics, but a Marvel what if has a little, and I know it's the MCU, but it has a little bit more of the vibe of what reading superhero comics might have been growing up. Where to me it was, the New 52 comes up, and I know that was like 2010s, but this and that, and you have just, I think you can be more accepting of this is what Iron Man did on this Earth, and this that. Star Wars to me, even though there's Legends, even though there's EU, I think we're so canon and canon focused and that kind of stuff where I just sometimes even I just rub up against the idea of even entertaining this timeline or this or that. I like dealing with the map that rolls out in front of me, but that's just a personal taste, and I think it could be a successful series if they did it.
Yeah, I think my relationship with it is complex. I read some of the what if comic books as a kid, but that was an era when some comic books were telling long form stories, but a lot of things were like you're a kid and your grandpa took you to 7-Eleven and you got whatever that story is and you read it.
Right.
So, what if Captain America had Namor's, foot wings? It was just, so like, that's another story. I think the MCU what if animated series that is on now, it gets into playing a little bit more with the sort of the multiverse and how you're affected by fate and, who are these characters? How would these characters choose given different circumstances? And I watched the first season and I thought I enjoyed it, but I don't think about it, and I haven't watched the other seasons. Every time this comes up with Star Wars, I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. And like, but I just was not grabbed by the What If MCU, and has nothing to do with quality. It's just there's something, it doesn't hook in me. And I think for Star Wars, I'm always excited by the question. I think I'm more interested in discussing it with people and watching a story of it, because for me, Star Wars it's about choices, and these characters are defined by their choices. And if Han Solo didn't decide to turn around and help at the Death Star, he wouldn't be Han Solo. That is the choice. That is the character. And a what if of it is like, okay, well, if it's not him choosing, it's what if the Falcon broke down and he didn't make it? Maybe. But then once it's fate intervening, not a character making a choice, it's always already a weaker story. I don't know. For me, it's just sort of like it doesn't matter if it's canon or Legends, and it's not even the worry about the hater bait, which is, I think, a legitimate concern. It's for me like, yeah, but the character made that choice, and that's what gives it value.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please, Jen, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say a lot of people do not like this idea of Physics Buddy Joe. I do not want What If. It would muddy up the universe. And somebody else, Rich, I totally agree. Don't really want a What If. We have enough trouble with Legends and EU and canon. I'm like, I don't even know anymore. I'm just like, just let me know when it really matters, because otherwise I got, the courtship of Princess Leia in my head. It's just muddy in there.
Bakura.
I think I'd like it more if it was myths. If it was, like they've had that framing for various stories. So there's I can't remember, was it Force? It was one batch of Forces of Destiny that framed it as Maz Kanata telling people
when they aired the series on ABC.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
That's something I love about Star Wars, is a sort of unreliable narrator perspective, and that myth's path through the galaxy. So I would love, here's the myth of this, and it is slightly different, maybe somebody's spreading propaganda that Ben Solo did live. Ben Solo is alive, and I'd love to see that story of somebody spreading the myth that Ben Solo is alive, because that's just more interesting to me, because it's about storytelling than just what if the writers made a different choice for these characters.
Yeah. I think of it like I like it. I like talking about it a little bit in the Game of Thrones world, but it's always. I agree with you about it. I'm more interested in the character choices and analyzing it. And I always say sometimes there's a living history that rolls out in front of you as a fan. But it's fun to go, hey, if so and so had survived, how would that battle have gone? And in terms of just stats. But when it really comes down to it, I like following the character choices, like you said.
Yeah.
And some people are mentioned too. Pancho Mike, hey Mike, saying let Lego do the what if stuff. I think David Mackay pointed to some of the Lego versions, which is a fun way to do it. And I Darth Jar Jar. I mean, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
have a fun
right.
Yeah, indeed. Here for maybe about 10 more minutes. If you got a question, super chats, all those good things, get them in. Again, this is Star Wars questions. We have our big main topic, but if you have something specific you want to ask, let us know too. Stuff out there. Let's see. Humble Ash had a couple here. I really still love Ben's struggle and eventual redemption all the way into The Rise of Skywalker. Just feels weird to imagine him not having that cathartic finale if that other script was a thing. Some stuff there too. Yeah, about that. Good stuff. Ash, Humble Ash.
Getting some spicy what if suggestions. I think yes, the script that was leaked for the early-ish draft, maybe final draft from Colin Trevorrow possibilities, did not feature a Ben Solo reckoning with what his choices, which not for me. There's a what if I don't need to see. I'm for myself.
There you go. Neil says life is all about what ifs, because the chances of us all being here right now would be greatly reduced at Disney, not about Lucasfilm.
Oh my God, Brian.
He's on a tear.
What if Solo had better marketing in December release date? I think about that often. I really do. It's such a great movie.
It might have really changed things. Then I still when I play out that what if, it would have been Han Solo versus Aquaman. And Aquaman, for whatever reason, did it bonkers well. The Disney option that they wanted to leave room for, Mary Poppins, only did okay. And Aquaman crushed Mary Poppins, and had the original Mary Poppins as a voice. So if they had released Solo in December with ample marketing, and either moved Mary Poppins or just sort of done Solo in early December and Mary Poppins in late December, and I think Aquaman would have just come in there and like, I kicked Mary Poppins' ass, I kicked Han Solo's ass, and it would have been a very strange, still a strange what if timeline of like somebody coming to me as a child like, okay, so you're telling me the Justice League was not well received in movie form, and Aquaman was. It's like mind blowing. Not the second one, but the first one.
The first one. Yeah. I do love that the video game you just pitched, Aquaman destroyed Mary Poppins. There you go. But 8984M is right. Never underestimate shirtless Jason Momoa.
I thought the film was bonkers and charming, you know?
You did?
Aquaman. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was wild. It was, it had octopus playing drums under the ocean. I got no problem with that. Yeah.
Very Little Mermaid-ish.
Yeah, Will McLean said, "Do not underestimate an octopus play the drums lead in battle." Yes, there it is. That's our lesson for today. That is our lesson for today.
Oh my gosh, they're so great.
Rich Rodriguez. What if young Solo was Jason Momoa?
There it is. There it is. There it is. That's the way to do it. That might be the Disney Plus What If series. What if business decisions? I'm not talking about the director's choices or the Star Wars Lucasfilm. I'm just like, what if Bob Chapek wasn't the replacement? What if Iger released Solo in December?
What if Kenobi had a bigger budget?
Yeah. What if the Disney boardroom editions?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Coming soon to Mortal Kombat, Aquaman, and Mary Poppins.
Yes.
Fight.
Yes.
Oh. And JMB, what if Jason Momoa was Han Solo? My man. I had never thought about having Jason Momoa in Star Wars, but I kind of want it. It would be so fun, right? That would be fun.
You could see it. Not as a casting of like Quinlan Voss, but a Quinlan Voss type of Jedi or character that's a little bit of a hang Tad and Shaka. Let's do it. Come on, Kenobi. Get on the surfboard with me.
My man could just actually be his character name.
my man.
My man.
My man. Moa in Star Wars. Yes.
Yes.
It'll work. He's great. He's great. I'm a Momoa fan.
Gosh, Amaranth. You said it, not me.
Perfect. Indeed.
Oh, Matthew Stokes coming in for the kill. Jason Momoa as Dash Rendar. Can you imagine those shoulders having bigger shoulder pads? How can it even be? You can't even fit it, and you'd need a different aspect ratio to make it work, to fit it on screen.
Yeah, too many shoulders. Do you think it's too many shoulders?
Oh, I think it's genius.
Yeah,
it's like
Brian Ward was saying the same thing at the same time.
I worry we're inching closer to Dash Rendar in canon like never before, because I know he's got the mention in the Jason Fry book. I'm just worried, and now you guys are helping him. You're helping the idea.
That animated series that we suspect is going to be announced at Star Wars Celebration. People are pulling for the path for Luke's Jedi Academy. What if it's how Dash Rendar got his shoulder pads back?
Could be.
I feel like we're manifesting Dash Rendar.
That's what I'm saying.
We've been talking about the character so much lately. He's coming back. Oh gosh, what have we done?
A lot of generic.
Like Smash Rendar.
Yeah. Momoa is real. Avaros is not. I love that we had some wonderful, deep conversations about Ben Solo, but it's the end of our working day, and now we're just like, what if he was real Avaros? What if Jason Momoa was a droid? What if it was?
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Gosh.
Yep.
The
Good.
Diary of-
Good stuff. Antonio Mendiola, who started off our episode today with his great Ben Solo question, says, "What if they let Luke have a blue lightsaber in Return of the Jedi?
Oof. Oof.
Nobody
Still.
could see it against the sky."
Still the
Yeah,
greatest
right.
thing. Still the greatest. To me, one of the most important behind the Star Wars stories. Why did Luke have a green lightsaber? Oh, George was like, crap. We can't see it. Get another one. People in Starlog are going to get mad. Don't worry about it.
Thank you, Lauren.
I mean, but he is technically officially canon because that Jason Fry has a supplemental book around the time of Solo, one of those like the diary of type things, and Rendar's name is mentioned in there. I know his
Really?
spaceships in New Hope and the Outrider of it is, but that could be a ship. Anyone could be in that, but his name is mentioned. So he's snuck in the back door.
All right.
And I apologize, I should say, to all you Dash Rendar fans. I am not at your picnic table.
I think it's maybe a time for a re-examination of Dash Rendar.
I mean, look, hey, but also, Jackson was high on my list of, can you believe that was a thing? And then, was it Charles Soule gets obsessed with him? Is Soule's the one obsessed
Kevin
with him?
Scott.
Kevin Scott's obsessed with him.
That's right.
And I got to tell you, that's from a certain point of view, but Jackson was really good. It was really good. It's really good.
We need more Jackson. We need Jackson in live action. We haven't gotten Jackson in live action, right?
Live action Jackson.
Live action Jackson.
Hey, no, there's
I have it on good authority. Tony Gilroy did it. He's going to be in the final arc of Andor season 2. I just have a feeling.
like the foot.
Yeah.
This big bunny foot.
And what line will that recontextualize in Rogue One? Now that you know there's a bunny, it'll change everything the way you read that line.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
There you go. Yeah, physics buddy Joseph. It was Jason Fry's Tales from Vandor, written by Jason Fry. But I'm open to look. I'll say. Let me pull back from my anti-Dash stance. I would be interested to see what they've come up with.
When Ryan Gosling plays him, we'll eat our words because we'll be like,
Don't,
so fun.
Jen, don't.
I'm sorry, I'm
You're
manifesting that.
You're in dangerous ground, Jen.
I'm gonna be banned from the live stream.
PLD projects. Yes, this is what I was joking about with live action Jackson is the film Action Jackson. Jackson, played by Grief Karga, of course, and the great Carl Weathers, which I watched after Carl Weathers passed. I have a whole collection of films, like 80s kind of actiony films that would be on the back page of comic books. So I was very aware of them, but never saw them. Tango and Cash is in that category.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Action Jackson, and it was very much of its time, but also surprisingly thoughtful. So no green rabbits to check out. Action.
Carl Weathers, God bless him, came up. I was watching just MLB Vault on YouTube. They show baseball games and highlights. There was a game like 15 years ago. The Dodgers came back to win, and they hit 4 home runs in a row. They won the extra inning. And so I was watching that, and they cut during like between the 3rd and 4th home run. They cut to the crowd, and Carl Weathers is in a luxury box celebrating.
What?
And they're like, "Oh, look at that actor, Carl Weathers." And he's just like, "Yeah." And it was just, oh God, I miss him. Just miss him. Too bad. Just tragic that he's not going to be in that Mando and Grogu movie. But maybe they'll have a nice hologram tribute or something.
They gotta honor him. They have to.
They're going to have to.
Jay from Nowhere drags us back into the pits of Dash Rendar conversation. Saying, the Outrider blast out of Mos Eisley, so he's been canon since '97. Yes, that is in the special editions.
Yes.
Just because his ship was there, that confirms the Outrider, right?
The Outrider. That's what I was saying earlier. It could be anyone. It could be Cash Kendar. It could have been someone else. His cousin.
Ryan Gosling has a lot of work because nobody wants him. Well, at least as Dash Rendar.
It's as Dash. I'm pro Ryan Gosling. I'm a Ryan Gosling fan, and I'm looking forward to see if he's in Star Wars, if that's official. But yeah, it's the Dash of it.
Right? Yeah.
Oh no!
These reactions to Ryan Gosling? Is there Ryan Gosling exhaustion, or is it Ryan Gosling? Dash Rendar. Ryan Gosling deserves more than Dash Rendar.
I think it's that. I think it might be that. It could be a little. There's a Gosling type in Star Wars absolutely raises some eyebrows. We're not used to that kind of star power at the height of their, because at one point Carl Weathers was a goddamn star, everybody, at a level you couldn't believe. But his turn into Star Wars is late. So, yeah, I understand it. But I also think, we grew up hearing Sam Jackson's going to be in Star Wars. Liam Neeson's going to be in Star Wars. Like that carried some weight back then.
Yeah.
Cameron says, I'm opposed to Gosling as Jackson.
I
think that's a waste unless it's just totally his naked human face painted green with bunny ears on it.
Yes.
We can totally see his face.
Totally see it. Totally do it.
I could see what's Ryan Reynolds voicing Jackson. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Okay, Jed.
Jed, you're on
what are you on today?
I've been replaced by I don't know who. What kind of takes am I bringing? Oh boy.
I don't want Jackson doing a Mint Mobile commercial.
David McKay says, cut that out of the podcast version.
Oh my gosh. I've been replaced by some executive. I'm just thinking of all the famous people that they can put in something.
Beautiful.
I'll tell you what, we'll green light the picture, get all the kids out to the movie theater. The Ryan.
So find one of those influencers to be the bunny for me. We'll have a movie.
Mr. Beast. We'll bring Mr. Beast in on this action.
Yep. Love it.
Oh,
all right.
sorry.
On that note.
Oh boy.
Ken's been broken.
Where's the cane?
Broken. Plume. Our buddy Ken Plume gave a super chat earlier. We want to acknowledge that. Run errands, but sending some love to you all. And Will Dixon, last favorite comment we had, dark and gritty Ben Solo. There we go. That takes it all home. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for picking that question, Joseph. Good stuff out there today. Take us home. What are we doing? I'm just going to repeat "take us home" until I know Dash Render.
Thank you, Antonio, for the great question, and thank you to everyone who has asked questions in Patreon. If you want to ask a question, you can go and do that on our Patreon page. If you just go to post, you will find the request for more questions. And if you want to find my stuff, you can go to my website, josephscrimshaw.com, or you can follow me on Blue Sky. Jennifer, where can people find you and your turn into disastrous executive?
You guys, I'm loving you guys in the chat. This is so fun. Thank you for turning this day around. Oh my gosh, this was great. You can find me online, my name, or don't if you're going to be mad at me. Thanks for joining us today.
And Ken, take yourself home. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Ken Napzok or my website, kennapzok.com. I don't have a shop on there, but I got my website back up. So if you want to pick up a personalized copy of Why We Love Star Wars, there's a way to do it on there, an email to reach out, and all those things. So thank you all today. A lot of fun. I needed it. Good discussion. And, we'll see what happens. Jackson, Dash Rendar, Bramoa. So many choices. Also, that's all. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.